Hello, everyone, and welcome here to Aaron's Indycar series. We are here at Dover, and it should be a good race here. The Monster Mile 200. They're pacing right now. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to check if the audio is coming through onto the stream. The audio is coming out onto the stream, so we should be all good here. The cars are making their way around the racetrack, and it looks like they're going to double out in turn 4. And here we go. We're gassing up for the green at the Monster Mile 200. To the inside goes Shore, trying to take the lead away from Hizzy. Hizzy, though, holding strong on the outside line. Goes into the wall. Here comes Anthony going for P2. Dives down to the bottom. Already, it looks like there is an outside lane forming here. As we've seen Hizzy once again trying to make it work. Still with that pressure from Anthony. Going into turn 2, they hold it. So as opposed to a lot of these tracks you see in AIS, this one, the outside can hold a line and not give up the position. So here we go. Anthony, a very strong racer here. He clears for position 2, and now he's going to try to look to draft up to Shore. But he's got Hizzy all over his rear bumper, blocking down the straightaway to the wall. Anthony now just slid up a little bit there. He got bobbled up in turn 2 and had to drift his way back up the racetrack. But he's only 3 tenths off the leader, so he's going to try to make it work. Keep in mind, dirty air is a huge deal at these races, so that's going to be something he has to deal with if he wants to close this gap. Anyways, here we see Shore experimenting with that middle line there, never going to the apron on the corner, but it looks like that may have lost in time as Anthony now has closed down the gap to 2 car lengths. Now looking bottom, and he is side by side. That apron is a very strong line as he's going to be side by side off of 4, and here they come to the line. Shore leads the lap by only 3/100ths. Now here comes Anthony, and Hizzy is looking to join the picture back in P3.
So reports of hacks, he's disconnected from the game. He's also left a driver's VC. So I don't really know what's happened to him, but the drivers did want me to go up onto the stage for a bit just to focus and concentrate. So I'm going to be here for a bit.
All right, great message from race control as we see Anthony has now pulled away that length, the lead to 3 car lengths here, now 4. Very strong around this racetrack, and Shore is not liking that through the air.
Yeah, yesterday in the D2 race, wasn't streamed, but Anthony was one of the only drivers who could manage to work his way past the dirty air, but just got really unfortunate on every restart, and it was between Penguin and Iwick, or Hizzy, and Iwick was able to just hold on for the lead in the D2 race, getting his first victory in AIS history.
Do you think we will see a lot of carnage this race, DJ?
It honestly depends. It's a difficult track to overtake in, but if you're skilled enough, you can definitely make an overtake work. You just need to learn how to manage the dirty air. You need to know how to follow in it. But there was a lot of wrecks yesterday. There was a lot of flips yesterday in D2. So of course it's D2, so you gotta take a pinch of salt when talking about it with D1. But I think these guys, they know how to drive. They've been doing this for a while, so I believe it's gonna be a caution race, but I don't believe we're gonna get more than 5 maybe. And also pit stops will probably be around 30-40 laps in, so looking like a 2 or 3 stopper here. Depends on when cautions come out though.
And it looks like Shore has figured out how to handle the dirty air. He's now within 1 car length of Anthony. As soon as he gets a run, he'll be able to go for it. Right now he's working the middle line, cutting down bottom, and he's on Anthony's bumper. Backs out of it though.
I think Ride is here, so Ride will be able to merge a couple laps. Will be able to merge.
So now it's very interesting, this racetrack here, because guys on the outside can hold a position for 1 or 2 laps before giving it up, as opposed to other tracks here. So, based off of what you saw in the D2 race, what kind of usage does the middle line have?
I think the middle line in terms of I think I just realized something. So I think the middle line, it's gonna be a tricky it's a tricky line. If you're in the dirty air, you can make that middle line work. If you're not though, it's just not gonna work out. That inside line is the best, and you know it's Dover. The inside line is just consistently the best line. So if I'm gonna be honest, I really don't see a lot of passes on that middle line. I think you're just gonna have to get to the inside and try and form a run here. So that's what my opinion. That's just my opinion and what I saw yesterday. But I saw people like Anthony and Penguin making moves on that inside all day long in that dirty air. So if a caution comes out and they get bunched up, I wouldn't see people trying to make it 2 or 3 wide into 1 or 2.
Got you. So, how do you think Shore will make this overtake on Anthony work here? Because he's been constantly going up to the rear bumper, but he's never been able to get past him.
I think sure he's a very good driver. You know, one of the fellow officials, Mr. Goober, he's a very good driver in that league. You know, he's been doing IndyCar for a while, so he knows how to drive IndyCars. But he's never really drove in the dirty air before. It's something he's talked about having struggles with. So I wonder how he's gonna play. But I just don't really see him overtaking Anthony this early on in the race, especially when Anthony just knows how to control that bottom. You know, you got to control that bottom, and if you know you wash up too high, you know, you're gonna get overtaken. So that's my opinion. But we still have another, you know, 10 miles left of this race. So you know, anything can happen in those laps or miles.
Yep, and it looks like Shore is starting to fade away a little bit. 3 car lengths back. That dirty air is not treating him good here. So Anthony's going to probably try to hold this lead going into pit stops. And for pit stops, what kind of options do the drivers have?
As per usual, it's just gas and go. These tires from Firestone are meant to last the race. No changing tires, but gas is always what you need to do. So I think everyone's just going to try and get to like really low gas here. You know, everyone pretty much on the same type of fuel. I think it's like 1,500 liters. Get in the pits, get another 1,500 and get going, you know. So they're going to want to fill up that gas tank all day long, you know, keep it as close to 100 as possible, 100% as possible, because when it becomes lap 125, you're going to want to be at least in the green and not in the yellow or red.
And so the gas mileage here, it could last you 30 to 40 laps, I believe.
Yeah, I do believe so.
All right, we'll see here as pit stops when the latest time possible will be for the guys to come in here as they want to stretch that fuel as much as possible. Do you think with the way the race is formatted in forms of laps, will we be able to see fuel saving?
It's hard to fuel save in these cars because the thing about fuel saving and road racing is you need to have a very good script to do it. And in terms of most chassis and race cars, it's really difficult to code. But with the chassis that we have, it is possible, but you need to like really work hard to get that fuel saving. And in terms of fuel saving, it's just lifting off a bit. And you know, you'll lose fuel a bit less faster, but it really is just, you know, it's like it's not really a factor here. You gotta really be good with your strategy. You know, you gotta time out your cautions well. So I think that's what we should be looking for today.
Yep, and right now we're riding on board Shore. It looks like he's using the lifting only strategy, not braking in the corners. For a lot of drivers, is braking an option?
When I was practicing earlier and creating the setups, it was definitely an option. You know, braking, while it does, you know, braking shoots you forward. If you brake into the corner and then lift throughout, you could get a good run. Maybe brake a bit in the corner for stability, but it's really just lifting around here. And if you know how to take the track well and choose the middle line, it's a flat out racetrack. But no driver wants to do that because that inside is just so dominant.
And right now we're riding longboard of Anthony, and we could see how he's using the throttles. Absolute masterful work here. He's tapping the gas and the brake back and forth about 6 times per corner. Insane strategy by Anthony, but he's making it work here. So that's interesting stuff looking on to the driver telemetry here.
He's also the leader of our current point system. The chase is underway, and this is the first of 4 races to decide our Season 2 champion. And Anthony comes in with a huge lead after pulling over 100 points to the nearest car after Fontana. So it's, as long as he just has a good 4 races, he'll be the champion. And his closest challenger is Juan, as there is contact in the back, but Juan, Penguin, and Leroy were all very close at the end of Fontana to him in points, so it's going to be close to see what happens. So yeah, I'll go through them. So our second place driver, Juan here, he's coming in as the second seed into the chase, not the playoffs, and he is looking to get his first win. He's struggled to get podiums all season long, but he's been very consistent. So I do see him. He needs to figure out how to win though, or else his championship might as well go bye-bye. Our next person is Penguin. He's the 3rd seed here, and he's in front of Juan right now. And Penguin is definitely one of the best drivers in the current chase. I would say he's probably the 3rd best driver because of reasons, but he's very consistent. You know, he probably could have won the regular season championship, but unfortunate DNF in Miami cost him a lot of points. So it's looking good for him now with the current chase system, but there wasn't, his season would have basically been over by now. So very unfortunate. And then the hotshot Leroy Dankins, he has absolutely been on fire here. He's won 3 races, I think 3 races already this season, and he's definitely been one of the best drivers. Got podiums, top 5s, worst is Texas. So I mean,
yep. And we're looking here side by side. It looks like Leroy in the 9 car going up against the 26. Now I haven't seen the 26 too much in these races. That driver is.
Yeah, so he's a new driver. He's CZ, as in C and then Z. So, I needed a driver for my team because Awick does not show up, Kvyat does not show up, and no one shows up. So he agreed that he'll do 1 race. I'll see how he does. If he does well enough, or at least just holds his own, then he might be signed for the rest of the season. But it's going to be hard to tell based off what we're seeing right now because he's stuck all the way in the back in that dirty air. So we'll see what happens with him, but long way to go, so anything could.
Assuming that he has a clean race, what kind of position are you looking for him to finish in order to get this seat?
If he can manage a top 5, he's obviously up for consideration. If he gets a podium, I don't know, we might have to give him that seat, but it all just depends on what happens in these next 100 laps. And Dover is a big track here. It's much bigger than real life, so anything can happen,
Yep, and we see CZ all over the rear bumper of the 9 car. He is looking to make that pass on Leroy. Tired of being stuck behind in the dirty air, and he's willing to use the bumper to get through. So now he's just trying to look for that opportunity on the bottom. Clearly the middle lane is not working for him in terms of overtaking opportunities. And now he dives to the bottom. Side by side off a corner exit. He might clear, not yet. He's going to try to make it work in turns 3 and 4. And it looks like he'll get the job done here as Leroy has to concede the position on the middle line. Now he's going to have to look at a huge gap up to the leaders. It's a full 3 seconds up the road to get to Juan in 4th place. So we'll keep a watch on that as we look throughout the race.
Yeah, indeed. So we are getting reports from the 6 crew that his Wi-Fi did go out mid-race, so nothing that he could do about it. He will be able to re-merge because that is not his fault whatsoever.
Yep, and it looks like the closest battle on the racetrack right now is still in between Shore and Anthony. Shore not making anything work out of it, though. Once again, dirty air stopping him from doing anything. But the battle for last place is still in between Leroy and who is that in the? Oh yeah, that's
Easy.
Izzy. Got you.
So let's
yeah,
take a
it
look.
looks like Leroy and what's his name? Jay.
Easy.
CZ.
No, CZ. Like
CZ, my bad. Holy cow, these names in row racing like are mad confusing. But CZ, once again, passing Leroy. I'm gonna have to write down on a piece of paper what these drivers' names are.
Yeah,
and now
so
Leroy, once again, using the corner exit to his advantage, back to the inside. It looks like these guys are going to keep on trading positions, not interested in looking up for P4, probably waiting for a caution. They know that 3-second gap is a huge thing to overcome here.
yeah, so let's take a quick look at our points right now. So Anthony currently has 1,067 points, which is more than 45 points over Penguin, who has 1,022. Juan has 1,012, and Leroy has 1,000. So Anthony is currently in a good position. Leroy needs to work his way up because he's currently the furthest away from Anthony and to win the championship at minus 67. So he's going to have to start working his way up and clear these back markers here.
Yep, so for sure. But we see your driver back there. He's falling back to last place. Once again, Jeezy, right?
DZ.
DZ.
No,
all right.
Okay. I'm going to send it in chat, okay? C?
CZ. All right, my bad here. I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper right now. CZ dropping back over a second, unfortunately, here, as we've got Leroy in the 27 coming across the line side by side.
I'm going to tell him that. Give me a second.
So now here we go once again into turn 3, working the bottom, goes to 27. That's Hizzy, I believe, right? Nope, Hizzy's farther up the racetrack here. So Leroy still holding that middle line. He's held it for a solid 3 laps now, but he's going to make the crossover work on the 91 here as they go into turn 3. So now it looks like Leroy's got a clear track behind him. A solid 3/10 it looks like. And we've got side by side, tons of contact for last place. Fortunately, our camera crew can't look that far back there. But we could see in the corner of our screen they're having a pretty physical battle here. And we're going to ride along board the rear bumper cam of Leroy. And it looks like one of the drivers was not happy with the move which CZ made. Now going underneath the apron and sending CZ into the wall. Insane carnage for last place. Looks like JKK, I believe, like in chat. I'm not sure, but he's for last, second to last now after moving out CZ. So we'll look farther up the field here and see what's going on. Shore once again still not able to get past Anthony. It's been a solid 40 laps trailing behind. Just keep on going here. He definitely needs to make the pit stops work if he wants to get past Anthony. But he might be getting impatient here, and he might need to use the bumper to move Anthony. The only issue with that, though, is Anthony will be able to reciprocate the same thing on moving the bumper, and they could basically slow each other down to allow third and fourth to enter the picture, and neither of them wants that to happen. So it looks like we're entering our pit window here as we're 44 laps in. I'm expecting to see the first pit stops come soon. And that was the best shot it looks like Shore had within the last 40 laps. Almost got to the inside there. Not able to have the speed off of exit though. So now it's just a waiting game to see when do these drivers pit here. If anything, if I'm Shore, I want to get in like a really good in lap and a really good out lap, and hope that Anthony has the slow one to try to get past them. And it will be interesting here as well if Anthony does lose the spot. How will he handle the dirty air? As basically almost the entire race he's been out front. So we'll see here as Shore is using the apron, slides up the corner. That was not a good lap for him. Falls back a solid 4/10, almost half a second. But he's going to gain into this corner. And I want to watch Anthony's throttle strategy here. This is insane footwork out of him. We see tapping in between the brake and the gas to get the best rotation. You could only imagine what his fingers are going through to achieve that. Just back and forth, back and forth. Probably a controller player, because I do not see how a keyboard driver could be able to make that work. So yeah, once again, entering a very low line here, but sliding off a corner exit. This banking on the straightaways in Dover is really steep. Probably the most steep out of all, no, not out of all oval tracks. Talladega and Daytona might beat it, but for the front straightaway, yeah, definitely it's up there. So, in most racing series, you see drivers use the whole track here, but we're seeing that this time around by Anthony. Goes all the way up to the top, experimenting around a little bit. As Shore gains a lot, down to 3/10. But we could see here, he's mainly using the bottom and middle line, not going up to the wall too much off a corner exit, and entering into the corner, so he's only 2 lanes off of the bottom line. Wants the shortest distance around the racetrack as possible. And now we see Shore once again in the wall. Let's ride along board his car, and we'll see how he handles the dirty air. He's looking to the outside line. He's going to get a pretty good run off the exit here if he could get the slipstream of Anthony. And yes, he does. He's going to try. Oh, and he goes to the bottom. Anthony left the door open, and here he comes. Contact with the left rear of Anthony, and he's down to the bottom here into turn 1, looking for the lead here. Here comes Shore. He is clear of Anthony. Anthony's going to try to cross over. If he needs to make a move, it's got to be right now while he's close to Shore. But Shore has that lead, and he blocks bottom. They go down to the apron. Shore still holding the lead here. And now Shore has it. Anthony is stuck in that dirty air. He waited 40 laps for an opportunity just like that happened. But now Anthony looks down to the inside, almost there. Now Shore has to minimize these mistakes on blocking here, and he needs to hold Anthony off. Anthony, though, insane runs going down the straightaway. He's got great amounts of slipstream, and he's looking back to that bottom. He's to the inside of Shore, side by side. Now we have an insane lead battle here. These last 2 laps we've seen swapping of the positions in between Anthony and Shore, and Anthony is going to take back that lead. Everything Shore worked on there for the last 40 laps has just been unwinded as Anthony has retaken that lead. Now Shore has to wait even longer for his next opportunity. But that was great driving by Anthony. He knew that he had to get back that lead as soon as possible, or else he would be stuck behind Shore just like Shore was stuck behind him. And yeah, dirty air, not good for Shore here. It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass here at these AIS races. And yeah, Shore has been dropping back a few car lengths here. Still totally within passing range. Now he actually is looking to the bottom. bumps Anthony up the track a little bit, and he's looking back for that lead. Puts Anthony in the wall, though. Slightly, but he's got the lead. I would say fair game there. A little bit of nudging into the wall. But here comes Shore. It's game time now for these two guys. They're all on racing each other for the lead. And Anthony, what a crossover down to the bottom. He saw a gap, and he went for it. If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. As Ayrton Senna said, that's what Anthony just pulled off there, going to the bottom. And here they go. He's being put under the apron. Intense battle, and Shore is sent all the way back up. Well deserved by him, because that was not good play. They're saying wheel lock happened. So yeah, unfortunately, 5/10 lost for Shore. So now Shore has to spend probably the rest of this fuel run trying to catch back up to Anthony here. And yeah, so we're going to ride along board the rear camera of Anthony here. So some drivers complaining about the fuel saving system as they're supposedly losing fuel when they lift, but we've got a battle for a P3. And yeah, so it looks like the battle for P3 has faded away. What happened? Oh, maybe someone went in for pit stops here. Yep, as we see someone coming back up the racetrack. And Juan absolutely slows down Shore, LePaging him basically. And yeah, so Shore is pitting this time. So is Hizzy, and he slams into Anthony going into the pit stop. Now here we see Anthony's still got the lead here. Everyone going for the pit stops. And that was not a good entrance to the pits by Shore there. So we'll see how it turns out. So now exiting the pit stops, Anthony's got 1-2 seconds on Shore. Disastrous. Not what Shore wanted to see there. And that was totally... Yeah, it's going to eliminate the battle for the lead here for quite a few laps. Going up the track, we'll come around to the start-finish and see what the difference is here. But this is the biggest gap we've seen in between Anthony and Shore for a long time. Definitely closable, but he's going to have to spend a lot of laps closing down that lead here. We'll look around to the front stretch. Yeah, 7/10, and the 26 gets a drive-through penalty. We'll look around to see which driver that is. It might be one of the newcomers here. But now Anthony had a great pit stop as opposed to Shore's horrible one. So he loves this gap here. He's going to try to, pull away this gap. And it looks like Izzy's race is ruined. He's not happy in his radio here. It looks like he's about a lap down. So now we see the pack here is spread apart a lot. So I think the clear difference in between these front two drivers is definitely made on how to take the corner here. We all know that Anthony, he loves tapping in his brakes and his gas back and forth, swapping it up. And Shore does the traditional way of just lifting here. So, yeah, and he's under the apron again. He's not dealing with this too well. He's got dirty air, but no slipstream at all. When he was closer to Anthony, it was might be easier for him, actually, because he had dirty air still, but he had slipstream down the straightaways. So we'll see. Can Shore overcome this? He gained a tenth that last lap here. So a little bit of hope for him. But yeah, we could see the pack here is absolutely strung out. And so now we're going to crank it up here on C Sports. We're going to listen to the cars going around this racetrack here. We're going to ride along board of Anthony. Oh, we've got a caution out. Never mind. Race back. Looks like we had a crash, perhaps. But that changes the complexion of the whole race here. Looks like some driver hit a wall and it absolutely flung them around. Looks like a switchback happened, as we're hearing from the driver radios. But yeah, everyone's stopping here on the apron. Definitely not expected here. And it looks like Shore wants to use the pits here. A lot of drivers are asking for the pits to be opened. Let's see what race control says. And we see a lot of drivers here pitting. Almost every single one here going into the pit stops. They all want to have this fuel to be able to pit as late as possible here. It looks like they're looking at the fuel window. And they might try to make this pit stop last them till the end of the race. It looks like Juan is trying to unlap himself here, taking the wave around. Anthony quick off the pits. And where'd Shore go? We see the 15, we see the 91. And yeah, it looks like Shore has lost the spot on pit road. He's not happy in the driver radios as he says, dang it. So, yeah, turn of events there. But now we're seeing this driver in the blue car into position 2. I'm going to ask what name he is. So it looks like his name is Ride here. So Juan is leading this pack. He might have the lead on the restart here. So trade-offs here. Less fuel, but he has the lead. And it looks like we're going green. We're gassing up for the green here once again at the Monster Mile 200, and we look up to the front. Anthony wants to make this move on Juan as quick as possible and dash out for that lead because he knows that Shore is coming, and he has made his way to the inside of Juan. Juan now is going to be stuck on the middle lane, might drop back to P2, but we see him using the throttle very precisely on that corner, sticks it to the outside, but Anthony is going to clear him into turn 1. So now Anthony's clear all around, and we see it's going to be Ride in P3. He's going to look now to pass Juan. And Juan is looking back to the bottom. Here comes Ride. Is he going to split them 3 wide? He does. 3 wide into the wall. Goes Juan and Anthony. Still contact in between these two. He's in the wall. They're dropping back. Their wheels are locked. An absolute horrible turn of events for Anthony. He has dropped back so many seconds here. Juan's tires were stuck with Anthony because Juan slid up, and Anthony has now lost over 2 seconds due to that incident here. No way. It looks like Leroy is also having issues with his car. And we have this unexpected leader here, the Ride, in the 91 car. He was last place for a solid lot of laps here. It looks like Leroy's looking to make his re-merge. So now riding along Shore, he's in P2, and unfortunately the spectate is not working for some of these drivers, so we're going to have to put it to intermission really quickly. And we're back here once again. We now have the camera of Ride. And now it looks like the experienced driver in the front two, Shore, he's been second place the most out of any driver. He knows how to hang in there with the leader. But once again, he has to use that knowledge he's gained from making the pass on Anthony. And he needs to put it to use here on this driver, Ride, in the 91 car. And down to the bottom goes Shore. Backs out of it though. He got cut off by Ride. And now he's going to make a run. Once again, he's got to develop it over the next 3 laps. So it looks like Ride is not a first-timer. And Ride is telling us right now, as he's driving in the radios, how many wins he has. And unfortunately, he has 0 wins in D1, but he's going to try to make it work. And he says he is a rookie. So I appreciate Ride giving us this information as he has the lead and he's trying to defend offshore. So great job by communicating information while leading here. Shout out to this guy, Ride. He probably gained some fans here from the viewers watching as he's able to type while driving. But now he has pressure to the inside. Shore moves him out the way. And Shore is back to the lead here. I'm going to look back here at this replay on one of my monitors here. And yeah, we just saw a lunge into turn 3. And Ride did not see that coming. So he got sent back up the racetrack. I would say Ride's fault, though. Shore was inside for a soft few laps. But Ride did not like that. He used the apron and he slid up and basically tried to move up Shore. A lot of dirty tactics in between these front 2 drivers here. Yeah, I mean, that was just an attempt on Shore's car there. Just blatant slamming onto him. And we see, for the first time in this race, swerving on straightaways to cut off the slipstream. Looks like this battle for the lead has been the most heated all race in terms of physical contact here. Now going around once again to turn 1. Ride trying to gain back that lead. He hasn't experienced P2 that much throughout this race. He's experienced last though, so he knows how to deal with this through the air. So we'll see. Will he be able to catch up in the second part? Will he be able to pass? Looks like he's already caught up quite a lot as I was talking about that during the straightaway. And he's back to the rear bumper here, so we should see perhaps next lap an overtake or a move to make one. He's going to try to get that run off the corner exit, and he moves Shore up the track, bump and run here at Dover, which is a pretty tight track here in terms of corner radius. So he made that work here. So yeah, the bump and run is an option here, because compared to a lot of tracks in AIS, this one has a very short turning radius. So if you move someone up the racetrack, it's going to make them a lot more slow. But this constant back and forth in between these front two has allowed Anthony to close up that gap to 1.2 seconds. If he wins this race, it's going to be an absolute story, an absolute miracle, headlining on all the AIS newspapers and feeds here, down within 1 second. That's going to be something we are going to monitor as we come to the last 35 laps in this race. But now, once again, comes Shore, making contact. Every single overtake you've seen from these front two includes contact. And now blocking down to the bottom, Shore backs out of it. He could have easily sent Ride up the racetrack, but he might know about what's going on with Anthony in P3. I'm not sure how aware these front two are that third place is hunting them down. Maybe they know through driver radios, but I wouldn't be looking back if I were these front two. I would be focused on the lead. So they might be going back and forth, not knowing what's looming behind them.
I heard nothing from the drivers, VC, about what they were talking about. I think Anthony and Penguin are just trying to work together to catch up to the leaders here. And for Juan, it's basically game over for him, but he's just trying to get a good finish here.
Do you think these front two are aware that Anthony has been catching?
Oh yeah, they've been aware. I've said it before. I was like, Anthony's catching. You guys gotta watch out. And Penguin was even like, Anthony's like catching now. So it's gonna be close, but they're gonna need to figure out how to not get into that dirty air. They're gonna need Shore or Rye to take the second lane here if they're gonna want any chance of trying to get the victory here.
So never mind what I just said for the last whole minute. It looks like communication is strong in between these drivers, and we've seen Shore back off a little bit. Maybe good for him as well to stop the constant back and forth in between the front two leaders. But as you were saying, if Shore is using that second line, it makes an impact on the dirty air. Am I correct?
Yes, it is.
So it opens up the bottom basically for Anthony to get cleaner air.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. So maybe he'll start going higher in the corners, but then he'll get in a lot of dirty air and then just hurt them both. So it's really just a game of who can figure out what to do and who can do it in the next 30 laps.
And in between the incidents in between Juan and Anthony, what exactly happened there? We were riding along board and we saw that just Juan slid up into Anthony and maybe they got their wheels locked.
Yeah, just wheel lock. That's what happens with these cars, and you gotta watch out. It's if it wasn't wheel lock, you'd see someone going into the catch fence. So, pick your poison.
So right here is going to try to defend as much as possible with these last 30 laps here to get his first career win in D2. He has been a Season 2 champion, and he's going to try to prove that he could belong as a race winner in D1. He's climbed up through the ranks, and now it's time to shine. He finished position 2 at Texas this season, and he's going to try to move it up one more spot, position 1 here. So yeah, Shore closing up that gap once again. These guys have figured out how to work with the dirty air here. So here he comes all over the rear bumper, and he's going to move Ride up the track. He looks bottom into turn 3, and he's going to make it stick here. Ride not looking for the crossover, it looks like. He had the opportunity to back out of it and have the run off the corner exit, but he opted for holding the outside line, and I bet Anthony and Hizzy are liking what they are seeing here with this constant back and forth in between the front two. Any usage of the middle line is going to be beneficial to them. So if they're side by side, it's going to be helpful. So real quick here, I'm noticing we have quite a few viewers for the stream here. So if you want to type in the live chat, maybe I'll give you a shout out here. Thanks for tuning in to C Sports with this constant action as we've seen Ride now trying to look back to the top here. And now here he comes. He's on the rear bumper. Looks bottom. He gets there barely to the tire, and he moves up. He moves up shore. So that was a little bit weird. He got the front wing to the inside of Shore's rear wing, but not the tire. So there was a weird locking going on there. I would be cautious of doing that again if I were the front two, because you do not want to take yourself out of this race. And Shore is not too happy with Ride. And now Anthony has gone closer and closer. Now down to 6/10. And just as he wanted, Shore used the middle line, that corner. So he had clean air there. So now he's just got to figure out how to catch these front two, because they're probably producing extreme amounts of dirty air here. So all viewers, all racers should know about the threat in P3, as we see once again Shore using that apron to move up Ride, but Anthony is getting closer and closer every single lap here. And tons of contact. Anthony has to back out of it. Huge stack up. That is going to hurt Anthony like crazy. He's fallen off so much. Not in driver skill, but like seconds. Holy cow. And he's going to have to deal with P4 and P5. It looks like they just moved each other out the way, Izzy and Leroy. So that's going to help him out here. But he has fallen back to 1 second once again. Heartbreaking for Anthony. All he's worked on for these last 20 laps has just been undone from that one corner here. So now the front two runners, Shore and Ride, like what they like that stack up there, and they like that Anthony has fallen back once again, as they know that they could rough each other up once again without Anthony right on their rear bumper. They still got to manage, though, that time buffer. And I feel bad for Anthony this race, because not only has he been messed up by Juan, but also the stack up, neither of which was his fault here. So sometimes you just got to deal with issues that are out of your control here and make the most of it. So that's what Anthony is going to try to do here as we go around to 20 to go. Earlier in this race, right before the caution came out, I was going to put on a, crank it up. So I'm going to take this opportunity as the field is showing apart here to do a crank it up here. We're going to ride along board of Ride. So beautiful sounds from these car engines. Shout out to Vort for allowing this to happen. And these drivers, one of them is watching the stream. Our leader, Shore, shout out to him. He typed in the live chat, Holy cow. Insane talent from these front two being able to manage to communicate to the live stream as they are racing. Any viewers need to be impressed by this from these front two. Holy cow. Sure typed in, "Hi, am I winning?" Yes, you are, and you have a solid 4 car lengths in front of Ride while texting while driving. So these guys have insane talent here. If you ever think that these guys having to, be dirty to do overtakes work, mean that they're not skilled, does not mean anything. They're doing that because they want to win a race, as we've got 16 laps to go here. And Ryder also joining here. Drivers tuning into the race stream, man. Great stuff to see here. And unfortunately for sure, that texting while driving might not have worked out for him, as he has lost the lead here. Here comes Ride to the bottom, 15 to go. Absolute shenanigans from these drivers here. Ryder's saying that he's watching the stream on his phone while driving here. Man, I love these drivers. Funny guys here. But yeah, our driver Shore has made quick work of this situation and has gotten back to the lead here. So he better not type in the live chat again, or else he might lose the lead. And huge issue out of Ride. That corner. Wait, Ride is P2. Holy cow. The front two are trying to outdo each other by texting in the live chat while driving. So both the leaders watching the stream and typing in the live chat. So you gotta love it. And Ryder, yeah, he's typing, he's sold. That was a big issue on the apron here. Yeah, I mean, that was a big mistake by him. May or not have been caused by typing in the live chat here. But funny situations out of here. Sure, trash talking him, saying that he got crossovered. So some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen while commentating out of these front two. But Ride needs to get out of the live chat, and he needs to close up that gap up to P1, which is short. 7 viewers watching the live stream right now. Shout out to everyone watching. Probably most of them are drivers, but you got to appreciate every single viewer here on C Sports, as we're always showing this great racing here from AIS and other great series. The Monster Mile 200 so far has been entertaining, and we're going to go down to the last 10 laps here. So we're going to see how it's going to turn out here. Will Ride be able to catch up to Shore? And if he does, will he be able to make the pass? And what will he use to make that happen? The bumper, or perhaps a slide, a crossover. We'll see. Tune in for these last 10 laps, and we're going to see what happens. Now Ride has closed it down to 1 car length on the apron. He moves Shore up. Is he going to get to the bottom? On the straightaway, he tries all the way down to the inside wall here. We're going to ride along board using the bumper again and again and again. Shore being able to block here. Insane blocking maneuvers from these front two. Insane battle here. Now it looks like Ride set up that corner very wide to get the crossover to where he could bump Shore, and he's down to the bottom here, coming across the line. Shore leads that lap, but Ride is going to lead the next one as he slides up into Shore. And Shore is into the wall. Shore is not going to like that at all. Now he knows what is on the table and what kind of moves are fair game in between him and Ride. If Ride moves him out the way like that, he can reciprocate the same thing. And Ride, now hearing that in this live stream, might regret what he just did there. Yeah, so he's got to be weary of P2 here. 7 laps to go, and we've got DJ in the booth. DJ, tell us a little bit about what you wanted to talk about.
Nah, it's just 7 to go. I gotta hear Gotta hear what people are saying about this. It's getting real close between Ride and Shore, and Ride could be a first-time D1 winner if Shore can't get to the back of him, and I don't know. It's gonna be close here.
Yeah, that was a super aggressive passing maneuver, though, he did on Shore. So Shore basically could do the same thing. So overtaking, we can expect tons of contact here as we're coming around to 5 laps to go here.
Yeah, 5 to go. I think it's just going to be between those two now.
Yeah, Anthony is too far back. Basically, he needs a caution. But are there overtimes in this league?
Yes, there's one overtime attempt, and that's it.
Okay, so if we see these front two wreck, that's probably the only way Anthony gets into this battle here. But now, all the fans watching from home need to choose a side. Do you want the first-time winner, Ride, to get this race? Or do you want Shore, who has been able to make great defensive maneuvers and who has been moved out of the way, unfortunately? Do you want him to come back and do the same thing to Ride? So we'll see here as we're coming around to 3 laps to go here. Pressure is building up.
I'll tell you, Anthony could definitely steal this. I'm not going to lie.
Close down to 5/10. 3 laps to go here. And Shore is using that middle line. Anthony's going to like that even more, but Anthony just seems too far off. It looks like he needs a miracle to happen. So going down into turn 3, Shore is still going to hold that middle line, not working out for him.
Oof.
He's dropped back a little bit now. 1/10 as we've got 2 laps to go here. Shore trying again and again to make the middle line work. He might have a run. This time around, he's closed it down to 1 car length. He's going to get the slipstream. And it's coming around. Oh. He's on the bumper. He's moving up Ride. He goes into the wall. He's out of it. And Anthony now making the move for P2. Doesn't get it, though. 1 lap to go. Shore seems like had a lag issue. And he fell out of it. It's over. And here we go. We have Ride in the 91 car through 3 and 4 for his first ever career win here at the Monster Mile 200 across the line. He wins it. In P2, we have Shore. P3, Anthony. P4, Leroy. And rounding the top 5, we've got Hizzy.
Oh my god, that is unbelievable.
Great performance out of Ride here. Popped up in the last section of the race after the caution came out. And he won. He's going to come around to victory lane. And it looks like he's doing a victory lap right now around Dover here. Going into pit lane. What's he going to do here? Is he going to attempt to burnout? I'm not sure as we'll see. Shore. He can go right past it. Shore says that was the first time to lag. That is correct. 2 laps to go. Unfortunate for him. But unfortunately, every single driver has to deal with factors that are out of their control, including Anthony, who was not able to get back to the lead after being sent back by Juan and through a stack. So Ride the race. He did it. And he got his first career win here in victory lane. We're gonna have So in the past, I've had the car noises turned up very loud. Fortunately, this time, I know to have it quiet down, because when you get 3 feet away from a race car, it's going to be loud. Alright, the car noises are still very loud, so I'll turn them down even more. these AIS Indycars making tons of noise here. So now we're going to see how it comes out onto the live stream, if it's good or not. Alright, it looks like our audio leveling is good here, so we should have post-race interviews coming up shortly. And it looks like we have the ride ready to be interviewed here. So I'll just go up to Victory Lane here and yeah, get to the interviews here. So we'll see. So DJ would normally tell all of the racers to join up into here. So we're going to wait a little bit. Maybe they're talking about officiating back in there. So we'll see what happens here. But right now, I'll talk to viewers watching this telecast. Oh, someone says that DJ left. So we are going to get this post-race interview underway. So it looks like Ride, he cannot talk due to his mic. So he's going to type in chat. So Ride, tell us about your race. First thing, how did you feel like in the final laps, and when did you know that using the bumper was going to be what you needed to do to get the race win? So he's saying, yeah, 5 laps to go was go time for him, and he made it work. So you've climbed your way up through the ranks. You won the D2 championship here. So now, do you think other people will recognize you as a factor in each and every race after you got this win here? He says he doesn't think so. He still needs to prove himself a little bit more here. So, thoughts on your battle in between you and Shore there with the last 20 laps? We saw a constant back and forth in between you two. So he believed that he was going to lose it there, as that was an intense battle for the lead. So, yeah, after that 2-to-go move, both of them went into the wall. But that affected Shore more than it did you. So, yeah, that's what happened there. So, how big of a factor do you think Anthony was there in how the front two were racing? Because you were going back and forth with Shore constantly. So he believed that Anthony would catch and pass him, but things worked out for you during this race. So how are you going to celebrate it here? Are you going to probably treat yourself with some good food, or what are we thinking here? Go to next race and move on. That's right. Looks like he is trying to do burnouts in pit road. Maybe. No, he was just backing up there. But yeah, so do you think you'll be a factor in the next race? And if you know what track it is, please inform us what it is. Alright, so Michigan, I think, is what he said. And he says that it's probably not going to be a factor. So he got a win when he could. The opportunity was presented, and he made it work. So thank you for having your time here being interviewed. So now we're going to move on to Shore, our second place runner-up. We're going to invite him to the stage here. Sure, if you could, yep. Okay, he's going to join the stage right now. What's up, Shore? So tell us a little bit about those final laps there.
Hello, mic check.
Mic check. Working.
Those final laps, we're just battling the dirty air. Yeah, that's about it. The dirty air was pretty bad. I was watching Anthony, he was catching. Then I was trying to make a move on 2 to go, I believe, and the lag happened. And I don't know what happened after that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah.
So out of that battle, we saw tons of contact in between you two. I think that's some of the most contacts we've seen for battling for the lead out of any race in AIS, maybe with the exception of Indy. So tell us a little bit about that and what kind of line there was and what you were like willing to cross and able to get that lead, because we saw constant using the apron and sliding up into the other driver.
I mean, I would just go to the extent of how much Ride went through. I wouldn't do anything more than what he did. If he punted me, I'd punt him back. But I wouldn't wreck him if he doesn't wreck me. So just keeping it equal, and that's about it. Yeah.
Alright, will there be any grudges going on to the next race, or do you think y'all will be on an equal level here?
Oh, we're good. I'm so happy for Ride, like my friend from like before, from Uber Geek and stuff. So I'm really happy that he was able to win.
So yeah, we have a friendly battle here in between these front two races, or front two drivers. So thank you, Shore, for your time here being interviewed. Now we're gonna move on to Hizzy, who finished in P5. Hizzy, tell us a little bit about your race.
My race got ruined because of that stupid idiot in the pit lane, and I couldn't get the fuel, and I had to stop, and I was a lap down, and I ended up in the back because of all that. So just shitty race, shitty dirty air, and everyone, Anthony's just gonna pull away in the standings because of some idiot.
So yeah, unhappy driver here out of Hizzy. Sorry for the language here. But anyways, do you think you'll be a factor in the next race, which might be Michigan?
It depends on what position I am in. Like I'm a pretty unlucky guy in this series, so I don't know.
And as far in the points are looking, it looks like Anthony, he got position 3. Do you think you'll have any sort of championship run?
Maybe, probably not.
All right, so it looks like this race perhaps may have closed Hizzy's championship here. So thank you all for tuning in to C Broadcasting Group. It's been a great race here, absolute entertainment out of these front two runners here. So thank you all for tuning in. This is Daniel signing off for C Sports.
C Broadcasting Group and C Sports reserve their respective rights. Any unofficial use of this telecast without credit to C Broadcasting Group and the respective rights holder is prohibited.